We have made it to episode 99 of Common Knowledge, where I take a look at 10 common Magic the Gathering cards. I tell you, are they good in Pauper or not? So excited to be this far in, and our next episode, we're going to hit that century mark. Very, very exciting. Let's start with our first card. Maybe it'll also be exciting. It is Shadow Slice. For 4 and a black, you get a sorcery that says target opponent loses 3 life, but it also has Cipher. You may then exile this spell this spell card encoded on a creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, its controller may cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost. So 5 mana to do 3 damage to an opponent. Bad, right? We all can agree that that is bad, generally. But what if it was 5 mana to do 3 damage to an opponent, and then for free, every other turn, you also do another 3 damage to your opponent? Now we're talking. You just have to have an evasive enough creature, and there are plenty of evasive creatures in Pauper. You know, you've got the Changeling that can't be blocked in black. You've got a lot of blue creatures that are completely unblockable that you could put this on if you go Dimir. You could go for a Ginger Brute that can not be. You can make it. It has the ability to not be blocked except by creatures with haste. That's also pretty good. You have ways of making this work. The problem is that most of those creatures, in fact, all of those creatures that I mentioned, are all extremely squishy, and they're really easy to kill. And so if somebody kills that creature, then this card that you've encoded and exiled and encoded onto this guy is gone forever as well. It's also just exiled and gone. So you could spend 5 mana to do 3 damage to an opponent, and then they kill your creature, and then you've got what? Not much. You just have what you paid for. And when you only get it once, it's not very good. If you get this to hit a second time, it's not bad. If you get this to hit a third time, now you're talking. And anything above that, you've just made an incredible card. But how often are you going to be able to get through for combat damage, 3, maybe 4 turns in a row to make the math on this work, to make the value on this work? I just don't think it's all that feasible. And so I can't really give it that good of a score. I think Cypher's a really interesting ability. I've got it in one of my commander decks, I think. Like a horsemanship, unblockable blue deck that just draws a bunch of cards. Has a bunch of coastal piracy style effects, but a couple of Cypher cards as well to just do weird stuff. But yeah. I don't know. I don't think this is all that great. I'm going to give it a 1.9, and I think that's mostly just that it puts a target on your creature, whoever you cipher it onto, and just says, I would like this creature to die, please, and I would like to overspend for it. And I think that's a pretty bad deal. Servant of Timoret is 2 and a black for a 1/3 zombie. It has Inspired. Whenever this creature becomes untapped, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. And then you can pay 2 and a black to regenerate this creature. Kind of interesting. It has ways, you tap to attack with this, but then you can regenerate it, so you can live through the combat, and then you can untap it, and you can attack again, and you're getting that drain each time. Obviously, a little better in something like Commander when you can drain 3 and gain 3, but even in Pauper, maybe not really. There's just better things you can do with your mana, especially if you're playing some kind of zombie deck or mono black deck that is just able to do much faster and dirtier shit than this. So I don't think you really need to consider this one. It's interesting though, and importantly, if you have some kind of loop that can tap and untap creatures, and you can do that infinitely, you just win. So there is infinite combo potential here. Something to consider. So I can't give it a terrible score, but I'm still going to give it like a 2.7. Yeah. Seal of Cleansing is 1 and a white for an enchantment. Sacrifice this enchantment. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Pretty cool card. Originally from, oh goodness. This is from like Nemesis. Boom. That felt good. Seal of Cleansing, it's all right. You know, this is a kind of cool card in a Bogle's style deck where you can still be playing enchantments and getting the benefit of enchantments, but you also have a disenchant effect when you need it. I think those decks don't really play this. I don't play it in my Bogle's deck, but you could. You certainly could. I think this is much more a commander card as well, where you do enchantress style effects. So you're drawing a bunch of cards off of this, and then it just stays on the table where you can use it as a gun pointed at any artifact or enchantment you feel. And there, it's a lot better. In Pauper, I think I'd just rather have the instant speed of the spell rather than this kind of effect. It's okay. It's okay. We'll go for something like a 3.3, I think, and move on. Serpentine Ambush is 1 and a blue for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature becomes a blue serpent with base power and toughness 5/5. That's interesting. That is interesting. We have some of these other kind of morphy effects where the creature just gets a different power and toughness. This is really nice if you have anything with counters on it, because then it's even bigger. This is also cool on evasive creatures, something like a little fairy that flies. Well, now it's a 5/5 a fairy that flies, and it's a serpent, and that's solid. Well, I guess it stops being a fairy, right? It becomes a blue serpent with base power 5/5, so it would still have all of its extra abilities, but it wouldn't be a fairy anymore. That part probably doesn't matter too much. Still interesting, you could slap this on a ninja as it's attacking, and now it's a bunch of damage instead. That's all right. I kind of dig this. I really do. I did not know this card was a thing. Originally in Crimson Vow, also has a double feature that looks kind of okay, and then I don't know why the art got so much more aqua there, but yeah, you know what? I'm going to give this a pretty good score. I'm going to give this a 4. I think you could do cool stuff with this. There's is it mutagenic growth? Yeah. So mutagenic growth, people play this because it can be free, and that's cool. It gives you just a +2/+2 power and toughness boost. Not for free exactly. You can pay the 2 life because of the Phyrexian mana. And when we come to this, we'll give this a really good score. You can see that it costs a decent amount of money compared to most Pauper cards. And that's a big deal. And, more or less free spells are a big deal. But for 2 mana to get a decent power and toughness boost like that, especially if it's a card with +1/+1 encounters already on it, I don't know. I like this card a lot. I think what did I say? 4 or something? Or I was gonna say 4. Let's go with a 4. I like it, and I'm also gonna write it down. Serpentine Ambush. Serpentine Ambush. Yeah, I think we can buy a couple copies of that and see where it goes. I have mutagenic growth in my fairies deck, and it's nice, but it's not always super impactful, right? This I think really chunks down an opponent, and it can be played on lots of different stuff. It's not free though. Free matters. Free does matter. Still, I like it a lot. Filigree Attendant, I also really like this card a lot. Not necessarily in Pauper, but I do love it. Filigree Attendant is 2 in double blue for a star 3 artifact creature that is a homunculus. It flies, and Filigree Attendant's power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. pretty cool. Was it uncommon in basically every set it's been in, except for Commander Masters, which is why we can play it in Pauper. You know how much Pauper likes its artifacts, and it can drop a lot of artifacts on the table very quickly. And then this thing starts with evasion. You can do some dirty things with this. I didn't know this was at common. I have this in a commander deck that is all about artifacts, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good there for sure. But man, in Pauper, huh? I think this is something to consider. Let's go with a 4 point. I'm gonna give it a 4.9. Sure, it's boltable. That's probably the worst thing. Let's go down to like a 4.7 then. Because if you paid 4 mana and somebody just lightning bolts this, you're gonna feel pretty bad. But it gets around Arms of Vidar. It gets around a lot of removal spells, honestly, and can do some significant damage. It's a cool card. That's a cool card. It's yeah, I think 4.7 is a solid score for it. Vault Robber. Did I mark that one down? I don't know. We'll say that was card 5, even if it was card 6. Vault Robber is 1 in a red for a 1/3 Dwarf Rogue. For 1 mana and tapping this creature, you can exile a creature card from your graveyard to create a treasure token. I guess it's not bad. You are paying a mana to get a mana from the treasure token, but that kind of ramps you up for the next turn. You can do this at instant speed, so you can do it way after combat. This guy's a 1/3, so he blocks halfway decently, and then you do it at the end of your opponent's turn, or even if you know this creature is going to block and die, you tap it before it dies, and you get that treasure token. That's okay. It's okay. And I think just a couple too many hoops to jump through, having to have a creature in your graveyard already, having to pay a mana for it. It's close. It's like a 3.8. I just don't know where I'd play it. Still, interesting. Navigator's Compass. This is a Pauper card, at least a sideboard card. Single mana for an artifact that says when this artifact enters, you gain 3 life, and you can tap it to have until end of turn. Target land you control becomes the basic land type of your choice, in addition to its other types. A really cool card. 1 mana to gain 3 life. Any deck can play. That's already pretty sweet. And then it fixes, mana fixes, which is also pretty cool. You'll find like Orzhov Blade decks or other kind of bounce decks will play stuff like this because they just can gain the life over and over and over again. That's really cool. You might even see Tron decks play this just as a way of getting the color mana that they need. I think more often than not, you will see them play Prophetic Prism. Oof, easy for me to say. Over a card like this because they don't want you don't want to change your Tron land into a forest and then tap it for 1 green mana. You want to tap it for the multiple colorless mana you can do. But still, pretty useful as a way of filtering into a color. Just a slightly different way of doing it. It's a good card. I understand that it's a good card. I've never put it in any of my decks, even though I have an Orzhov Blade deck that could certainly use this. I have an artifact deck that's all about blinking and bouncing artifacts and replaying them, and I don't put it in there either, and I probably should. But it's, I don't know. There's something about it where I just feel like I could be playing something slightly better. Every time I consider this card, I think, I could play that other card instead. And that's my issue with it. A lot of people played this card to great success, and I respect it. I understand it. I'm just not necessarily there with them, so I'm going to give this a slightly worse score than I think a lot of people might, but I'm going to give this a 5.5. Pauper playable, for sure. Not saying it's not. Just I think it's on the lower end of Pauper playable, and you could probably do better. Probably. But it has its place, for sure. Scribe of the Mindful is 2 and a blue for a 2/2 human cleric. You can pay 1 tap and sack this creature to return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting, but this is the format that also plays Archaeomancer, which does that on ETB, and you don't have to sacrifice the creature, and you can link it over and over again, and gets you way more value. An Ephemerate and an Archaeomancer has done some incredible work over the years in Pauper, and I think it's made cards like this pretty useless in that format. Even though it's, in many ways, it kind of just is an Archaeomancer. 2 and a blue, and then another mana to get that instant or sorcery card to your hand. That's what an Archaeomancer is. That's 4 mana to get a card back to your hand. But you also have to lose this guy. Yeah, it's just not mathin' when it comes to something like this. Let's give it a still respectable 3.4, but know that there is definitely an option that you play instead of this. Arctic Treeline. Have we done these? I don't know if we have. We'll do them. Arctic Treeline is a snowland that is a forest plains. You can tap it to add green or blue, green or white, because it is a forest or a plains. And this land enters tapped. These are great. These are great because they have the basic land types, so you can cycle for them. You can use your Eagles, whatever the Eagles is called. You can use your Generous Ent and go grab this, and it's a great way to mana fix for you. These are awesome. You have these snowlands, and then you have the Dominaria lands that also do same thing, but without the snow. So it gives you a couple options on grabbing those, and it really is up to you of which one you play. There's not a ton of snow relevance in Pauper. There is a little bit, and those decks can take advantage of having some more snow permanents. But generally, it's up to you which ones you like. And I like these a lot because Kaldheim has a cool plane with a lot of cool stuff on it. Dominaria is also a cool plane, and don't get me wrong there. These I'm going to give an 8 to. They're really good. They're really good. I think I've had the Dominaria dual lands on before, and I don't remember what I gave them. But retroactively, I would also give them an 8. They're great. Mana Prism is 3 mana for an artifact. You can tap it for colorless, or you can pay 1 tap and add 1 mana of any color. All right, so it's a 3 mana rock, which isn't great because it's only making colorless mana. You have access to better 2 mana rocks than this, but it also filters. But if you're going with a filter, you probably want the Prophetic Prism instead. That's 2 mana. It doesn't ramp you. You can't add extra mana, but you can filter that mana. But it does draw you a card when it enters play. And I think that makes Prophetic Prism just better than Mana Prism most of the time. I guess I was going to say I'd be bugged that you wouldn't get one with a common symbol, but Mirage, they didn't have the colored mana or colored set symbols yet. So it still looks, 6th edition is silver, but Mirage, that's just the palm tree Mirage logo. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love it. I think you have better options available to you. I'll still give this a 3. It still filters. It still is ramp when you do play it. Those are cool things. But generally, I think whichever way you want to go. Do you want to go on the ramp plan? There's better cards. Do you want to go on the filter plan? There's better cards. Do you want to go on the ramp and filter plan? Maybe. I feel like there's another better card out there somewhere. Like maybe even just the signets, right? Like just a signet is ramp and filter. You pay a single generic mana and you get 2 different colors out of it. I think the signets are just better, right? What did I give that? I think I can do worse than that. Let's bump it all the way down to a 2. I think. Did I say 3 before? I think we can bump it down to a 2, and just knowing that The signets are 2 mana, and they do basically what this does, but just better. All right, one bonus card, and we'll call it a day. It's Quicksand. It's a land. It taps for colorless, or you can tap and sacrifice this land and target attacking creature without flying. Gets -1/-2 until end of turn. This is all right. This is an all right card. It's been uncommon in everything but World Wake. Although again, Visions didn't have the colored set symbol, so you can certainly play that version too if you just like having black set symbols to make them look more like commons. Quicksand's cool. There's certainly a lot of flyers in the format. This isn't going to do anything against a fairies deck. Well, I mean, it takes out the ninja. It does take out the ninja, so I guess it does still do something in a fairies deck. You know, I tend to like Desert a little better. That's able to pick off little creatures like that. But Quicksand is interesting. You do have to keep this up, and then you do lose the mana that it can produce. So you are going down on lands. I don't love that, but still kind of cool, just as a hey, don't screw with me card. Like, how much damage do you think you actually prevent by just the opponent not wanting to lose their creature so they don't attack in? It could be pretty significant. I'll give this a straight 5. I think this is playable in Pauper. Yeah, straight 5. Pretty good. And a pretty good one to end on. Next time, it's episode 100. What'll I do for it? I'll probably look at some common cards, but outside of that, who knows? We'll see you then, though. It'll be fun. Bye.